Good evening and welcome, everyone. We are here for the Risen Esports Dominate Open week number 3. We have an absolutely fantastic match up on the board here for you tonight. It's going to be the Tortugas versus Hypnotic Gaming, and we are already into the Pro Draft Champion select for this first match. I am Gas Pump, joined by my fantastic co-caster Nightstar. Nightstar, let's go over some of these great picks and bans already on the board for this game, number 1.
Yeah, we're just launched way into pick and ban already, and I mean we've got Rakan, Kane, Jinx banned out for the Tortugas. Kane definitely a targeted ban. Rakan, of course, you want to take away some of that engage. Malzahar, Orianna, Draven. Also, some of them targeted, others. Orianna, Draven are picks you just don't want to play against. Draven being that overpowering AD carry in the bot lane, and then Orianna has just been buffed to the degree I would say is going to become a focal point of a lot of pick and bans.
Wait, hold on a second. Orianna buffing time for Worlds. What year is this? This is incredible. Absolutely unprecedented. But of course, that control mage in the mid lane, such a strong point of power for any team capable of leveraging that champion, the command shockwave, always a huge teamfight impact. But talking about the champions who've been picked in already, Morgana and Caitlyn, the bot lane insta-lock duo for the side of the Tortugas, and I love seeing that combination come out in the first game of the series.
Yeah, it's just so oppressive, right? You have the Morgana W, the Caitlyn Q, they just press these buttons and the wave instantly evaporates. And against Sivir, who will have a lot of trouble managing her mana pool, during the early part of the lane phase, this lane is a lot of trouble. But with the Jarvan also locked in for the Hypnotic Gaming, they have the possibility of rotating this Jarvan down bot lane early on to try and make plays happen.
Oh, yeah. And the second part of that, what I love about the Morgana pick is that you take that Morgana first and the Spill Shield, so capable of stopping some of these high impact gank plays early in the game, completely kills the potential for a Jarvan flag and try to come through if the Morgana is paying attention. And on top of that, that Dark Binding, a major tool.
Yeah, the Dark Binding is such a kill threat in this lane with the Caitlyn traps to combine with it. And we have the Lux locked in for Hypnotic. We aren't sure if that's going to be a mid lane or a support pick. It has been rebuffed on the shielding to allow her to be played back into the support role again, and that might be enough to help try and control the wave with the Sivir to cancel out a lot of the pressure from the Caitlyn Morgana.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I really like about that is it's the flex. You're kind of holding your cards to your chest. This is Hypnotic Gaming. Again, potential for it to be support, potential for it to be mid. I'm curious as to how Hypnotic is looking to pivot this, especially into the Vladimir mid lane already locked in by the Tortuga game. And Vladimir is such an oppressive champion when he's in a good state. That lane sustain is super obnoxious to go against, but if you're going to pop him like a grape, Syndra's the champ to do it.
Syndra's definitely a very strong champion. She got buffed in the previous patch. I would say she definitely should have rose up to S tier, but we just didn't see enough, I would say, out of it. However, the Vladimir can still opt up into the top lane, but it does look like they're opting to not go for that, as they instead pivot over to a Kled. So the Tortugas have the lane power of the Caitlyn Morgana, and then all this extra team fight for the mid game with this Kled Vladimir Hecarim. Insane combination.
Gosh, they have so much power heading into these team fights that Hypnotic already at this point of the match need to be thinking about, well, okay, how do we stop this composition from getting out of control? I mean, something that I've always been a huge believer in is the win lane, win game philosophy at this level of play, because mistakes can absolutely snowball in a big way. And when you have Kled, Vladimir, Hecarim, with a Morgana, Caitlyn as your duo lane, that is such massive lane priority that the Tortugas already have an advantage coming into this game.
That is a definite plus for them going into this game. And the Hypnotics, well, their counter is going for the Shen pick, trying to pull the map apart, making sure it's not focused around the mid lane, around these objectives, trying to give an opportunity. Hey, we'll have this Shen split push in the side lane to try and force you to pay attention to the Shen pick, force you to pay attention elsewhere on the map. And if you don't give the attention to the Shen with some of his more damage dealing builds, he can really do a lot of damage across the map.
And I think the big thing that you have with the Shen here is once you get that solo laner to the level 6 point, you have the ability to interfere across the map. And while Shen, not exactly a super strong laner into Kled, if Shen can join for a well-timed Jarvan gank in the bot lane, you could really see Hypnotic turn the tables on this Caitlyn Morgana. And that's what I'm really hoping to see from them, is some conservative play in the early game, and then Shen really making his mark once he has that standing unit available level 6.
Yeah, and for the side of Hypnotics, they are still going to have tools to deal with the Tortugas, right? They have the Sivir ultimate, they have the Lux binding, and they also have the Sun coming out from the Syndra. So they have ways of trying to disengage or engage and find small picks. And it really comes down to those picks, I think, in my opinion, for Hypnotics to really pull forth with the win. Because if it's a 5v5 straight up fight, Vladimir, Kled, and Hecarim are going to run you over.
Those are absolutely terrifying champions, but you can't forget an omnipresent fact when you have locked the Sivir into the composition, which is that 500 CS win condition. If Sivir can build up to that 6-item breakpoint, she is capable of absolutely annihilating an entire squad within a given team fight if she is left alone. We will have to see if Hypnotic has it in the tank to bring it to that point, or if they'll even need to, because the early game is always pivotal in these matches.
Early game's definitely going to be a very important part, as it is actually I'm just going a little bit brain dead here, but the early game of course is an important part, especially with the Caitlyn Morgana, because if they don't hit those early breakpoints, then you really start seeing the Sivir on just one item. She can start standing tall against the Caitlyn if the Caitlyn hasn't built enough of a lead.
And I think that's going to be the major point of contention here, is building up leads in the early game. How are these teams able to leverage their advantages and, bring it to a point of power that can then take over the game and look to win there? So what I'm really looking for as far as both of these teams are concerned is specifically, in my mind at least, how some of these solo matches play out, and really the jungle pathing here going to be absolutely paramount, securing those early advantages.
Yeah, for sure the Jarvan jungle pathing is going to be incredibly important. The Hecarim, he really just needs to power farm as hard as he can, and then make sure that he hovers around bot lane. He doesn't have to make plays for his bot lane, but if he's just down there setting up vision, making sure he knows where the Jarvan is to prevent the threat onto that Caitlyn Morgana, that just makes their composition that much easier to execute. And that's another thing I want to point out, is the ease of the execution when it comes down to these 5v5 team fights. You're looking at the Tortugas, very, very clear way of how they get in, how they start these fights. It's with that Kled ultimate, and once you press that R button, everything kind of naturally just happens. And for the Hypnotic gaming, that's where it really starts to be a little bit more tricky, right? You have to hit some of these skill shots to really get the actual fight going, and that's where it just feels like I don't think Hypnotic gaming they'll be able to do against the Tortugas.
Well, now I would say that yes, there's absolutely a lot of truth that it's going to be tough for Hypnotic to go in, but against the composition that Tortuga has, they really don't have to. I mean, you've got the J4 who can drop the Cataclysm on a given target, really kind of stuff the all-in engage potential, as well as the fact that Syndra stun, that I believe the Force of Will there is such, or Scatter the Weak, pardon, is such a huge tool for stuffing a potential engage. You have the Shen taunt to get off people, and Sivir's ultimate gives you the move speed. Hypnotic Gaming really don't have a traditional kite back composition, but they do have the tools to make it work, and I think that's what they're going to be needing to do in these team fights if they are ever on the back foot. But here we are into Champion Select proper, and we'll go through this here, make sure that everyone's in the roles that we believe they will be in.
Fear controls them.
Yeah, and just going over the compositions again, I definitely agree. When it comes down to maybe not initiating for Hypnotic, but rather than absorbing the first engage and then turning it on its head, because you still have the late game damage of the Sivir. Once she hits those 4 items, she will become terrifying, and you are going to have ways of isolating that backline. The J4 Shen, they're going to be able to get into that backline as long as the Jarvan has a good flank angle per se. And if Jarvan Shen are able to eat up a lot of that space or create separation, give Sivir that time to output the damage against the Kled, Hecarim, Vladimir, that'll be the team fight win. But it's about keeping the Sivir Syndra alive. And again, they have such an easy run you over composition for the Tortugas. By the time Hypnotic Gaming, by the time they get those timings down on what they need to do to counter this initiation, it might just be too late.
But that again is coming down to conjecture, right? So it's one of those things where you really can't measure up a situation like this until you see it in the game. And again, a lot of this comes down to, can either of these junglers get in a favorable position in the early game? I mean, Hecarim, as basically anyone who has played this game knows, has potential for an insane snowball in Grey Anatomy on that pick. Could certainly do a ton of work in this game. But again, not exactly as easy a path to ganking as this J4 has. I mean, Jarvan with the flag and drag combo unlocks that very strong gank potential as early as level 2, but with all of these picks locked in, I mean, it's still totally up in the air, but I would agree with you strongly. Some big advantages for the Tortugas so far.
Indeed. But as things wind on down here, I'm interested to see, Grey Anatomy, he does have the flash still on there. I would hope that the summoners do get changed. Otherwise, that is going to be a little bit of a tragedy. Perhaps is an understatement there. But it does look like everyone is going into the roles that we kind of expect to see. No big changes in that regard as time does wind down. Okay. All right, so the smite comes through. We were all kind of holding our breaths there, but one interesting thing to keep note of is still the fact that this Hecarim does have the flash, which means he's going to be able to engage from longer range, but without the ghost, he doesn't run you over as easily.
Well, especially in the early game, though, it's almost a guarantee that Grey Anatomy is going to be packing the Predator as that keystone mastery. Gotta go fast, get into these fights, and once you have those boots with the Predators unlocked, it's in some ways better than if you just had Ghost. I mean, it's more on demand as a cooldown, especially later on to the game, but I guess the big thing in my mind, kind of the last thing I'd like to mention here, is what of these matchups do you think is going to be the most explosive in terms of having impact throughout the match?
When it comes to the lane phase, the matchup I'm looking to most is going to be the Kled Shen lane, right? We know what's going to happen in this bottom lane with the Caitlyn Morgana against the Sivir Lux. If things are left to their own devices, obviously we might see some intervention coming out from Jarvan, and that can really turn things on its head. But if we're looking at lane complete isolation in the lanes, it really has to be that Kled Shen that's going to be the most explosive, just because of how much kill threat the Kled will have on the Shen. And if any ganks happen in that top lane as well, that can really accelerate things one way or the other. And I think,
without a doubt.
yeah.
With that being said, though, we have reached the last part of the Spectator League. We'll be back with you in just a few more minutes for this absolutely explosive first match of the Risen Esports Dominate Open. We'll see you all in just a few more minutes. Good evening and welcome back, everyone. We are here now on the Rift for the first game of the night, the Tortugas versus Hypnotic Gaming in the Risen Esports Domination Open. Gas Pump joined here by the fantastic Nightstar, and we have a great game on your hands. Both teams screaming off the fountain, pulling up that classic five-man line of scrimmage. Nightstar, what are you looking for here in this early game?
Well, as we were going into Champ Select, I just happened to notice that Grey Anatomy, we talked about the Predator going with the Flash. If you take Flash, you want to have that Predator just to have that early game potential, but it does look like he's gone counterintuitive and gone for the Conqueror without the Ghost. So that's going to be really detrimental for him during the late game team fights. Once he's in, of course, he's going to be in, but you really want that Ghost to really have that sticking power in the team fights. And I do worry about just how easily they can snowball ahead with this. Of course, you are going to have the Kled speed, which will help, but yeah, it's just a small thing.
Look, realistically, this is just a Grey Anatomy being such a massive Chad that he doesn't even need the move speed. He's going to run you over at 350 base MS. You heard it here first, folks. But with that being said, mirrored red buff start for both of these junglers. Going to be looking at some of that classic vertical jungling.
Yeah, it's going to be opposite ends there, and it actually benefits the side of forget our team. The Hypnotics a lot more than it does for the Tortugas, because it allows this Sivir Lux to actually access the wave at least for that little bit to try and get to that level 2 to help counter out this bot lane. But it does look like the Caitlyn Morgana lane just too easy to execute.
Are you telling me that the Caitlyn Morgana is shoving in these two at level 1? It's unprecedented.
Unbelievable. You would never have thunk it.
So, I mean, of course, you're going to be seeing the superior range, and especially the threat posed by that Dark Binding from Morgana, forcing the Sivir and the Lux under tower early on. And I feel like this is a pretty accurate representation of what we're going to be seeing for a lot of this early lane phase. Chandler and Rodark need to be real careful here in this 2v2. Otherwise, they could find an unfortunate end at the hands of Tortuga.
Yeah, there's still plenty of kill potential, but Rodark is also going to have the ability to return some of that himself. But
enemy up here, great push back to stop that dash from the Shen. Pull back. Are they looking for the dive? Awaken with a sliver of health, and he lives from the game.
Really nicely played from Awaken there, making sure he holds on to his flash for as long as possible, getting out with a sliver, definitely a sliver of health there, maybe even less than a sliver there, but he's going to have the teleporter able to get back into lane. It's still a very rough matchup here, especially going down 1 kill, or losing that teleport early on does mean that he's going to lose a lot of wave pressure.
Ooh, and Hecarim once again on the gank. Scott Sterling in trouble in the mid lane. Grey Anatomy looking for that damage, but not able to lock in. And here comes J4 the Flag and Drag, but action occurring across the map. Bot lane United as well. The gank called off in the mid lane, and still, despite the action, no kills picked up by either team.
And an interesting re-engage coming in from timing, even though Scott Sterling in no position to really return the damage in that fight. Ends up just getting a good chunk of health, which is going to help out, even out the health trade in that mid lane. But Scott Sterling probably does want to look for that back. Has an 8 CS advantage here, so looking really pretty so far. And it's just constant brawling.
Right, absolutely. And I love seeing these teams really trying to suss each other out here in the early game, and Awaken making good use of that Twilight Veil to dodge those auto attacks out with the Shen, and, you know, really kind of spar with this Kled in the early game, who is that strong pick. You want to leverage the part of the game where your Shen does have the ability to fight there. Once again, Brawl in the bottom lane, getting that back wrangling. Your goddess, the Morgana, dropped to just 150 health.
Yeah, very nice finding coming out from Rodark there, and another repeat gank commit.
Oh, looking for it now, forcing the flash out of Scott Sterling. Will be able to escape, but a great taunt in from the Shen top lane. Looking for this kill on Raleigh, forcing the flash. That pressure from the Shen cannot be underestimated in the early game.
Yeah, and surprisingly, we see the Shen come out trumps in that fight there. Or in this lane. This is a lane where the Kled got the early advantage. But if you look at the items, even though Raleigh did get that early gank, he never really cashed in on that money. So because of that, he's actually weaker than the Shen, and Awaken just taking great advantage of that fact.
And a great freeze in the bot lane by this Sivir and this Lux, forcing the Caitlyn and the Morgana on back, and they should buy some extra CS in the lane. Speaking of CS, we actually see an advantage for the Sivir and the Lux. And the ability to CS under that tower and get those creeps regardless of the hardship, such a great skill to have, especially in a matchup like this one.
And that's really key. When you know you're going to get pushed to your tower, it's all about, can you make sure you get every last hit at the tower? And for Chandler, he's been doing a really good job. And for this Caitlyn, this is where things, it feels like things are getting really rough in general for the Tortugas, because it feels like they've missed a lot of their buy timings. And if you do that, you end up being weaker than you should be. And this game here
shall receive. Hecarim coming bot lane for the gank. Looking for the again. What a clean spell shield. Gonna be locking him down with that Lucent. From the Lux, looking for the every poop my pants with a sliver of health. Here comes that Shen. No flash, but looking for the top. Forces the flash out of the Morgana. And once again, despite the gank and the turn, all members of both teams staying alive.
But that really just keeps on benefiting the side of the Hypnotic Gaming, because they're able to keep this Caitlyn Morgana locked in this bot lane. They're not going to be able to buy for another 2 waves. That's another minute where Chandler, he's going to be able to recall right here. He's going to be able to make it back in time to lane with his item purchase. And this Caitlyn is really starving in this lane phase.
All right, let's talk silver linings though. Looking up in the top lane, Raleigh on this Kled has managed to broker for himself a pretty significant CS lead, but here's J4 coming up on top, has that flag and drag, will end up popping the Scarl there, coming on through Awaken. Just a couple seconds off of that red buff ticking on down. Can he escape? One more hit would be enough to slow, looking for the kill, can't find it. First blood coming through for Awaken.
Awaken going with the style flash. Not sure if that was played to its utmost potential there, but
potential. Because I mean, if you're going for swag points, my man Awaken cashed in a big way.
He still burns the 5-minute timer to cash in on those swag points here. So, well, we have to see it cash in even further, as now they've shoved in this wave. Do they want to go for a dive? I don't think it's ideal, but they are able to get this wave shoved in, and that's the big thing here.
There's a word that you would use to describe diving a Kled, and it's suboptimal. so I think wisely the call off from the J4 and Awaken, going back to spend some of that cash here. Awakened almost certainly be picking up that Bomb Sender, looking for that early Sunfire. A strong call really helps with that wave clear, as well as defending against that Kled's damage. And I'm really curious to see how Tiny chooses to spend his timey moving forward, as we do see Grey Anatomy capitalizing on that back to go grab an Infernal Dragon for his team. Oh, missed position there. That's going to be an easy pickup. On to Scott Sterling, caught with his pants down, hatching a ward in the jump.
Yeah, you could really see that coming from a mile away there. As no one.
Oh, but here comes J4. I poop my pants. In trouble. Will get clapped by that J4. Your goddess could be in trouble as well. Looking for the binding. Ooh. Will land that in. Finds the damage. And Chandler picks up the game. Looking now for another fight in the top lane. Is Awaken. Looks for Raleigh. But they end up just passing blows back and forth as we reset towards the mid lane.
And a great catch coming out from the side of Hypnotic, as, Scott, he did get caught out there, and really, it's to be expected, right? Your team doesn't have any vision in that river area, and then you kind of just walk straight into the dragon area, trying to find vision for yourself with your face, and you know what? Your face got a big fist to the face there. And he really got run.
Is that what the kids call it these days?
Yeah.
But really, I'd like to point out here, that was a fantastic bit of ward placement by the side of Tortuga to really set up that Cinder there. The big difficulty ended up being the backside of that play, where Timey was there to get the kill onto I Poo My Pants, and then your goddess, regrettably out of mana, catches the binding, and Chandler capitalizes in a big way with that Silver damage.
Yeah, and it really just came down to the fact that we see us play the man.
Ooh, but here's Shen coming to Stand United, looking for that dash on and forces the flash out of the Hecarim. tons of respect for this Syndra's kill potential there, and a wise choice. Also, one of the reasons why taking Flash and Hecarim maybe not be a bad thing.
I mean, sure, but you know, with the extra ghost, there were so many extra plays that you could have definitely seen coming during that early game, during this lane phase here, and it's just one instance where it did pay off. We'll have to see if it continues to pay off later on. And Scott Sterling, he's doing all right, but at this point in time, this is where we really do see the Vladimir starts coming online. You know, you've hit that level 9 breakpoint, you're not doing too shabby in the farm department, you're able to hold your own, and
looking for the gang finds that Lux. Rodark flashing on out, does have a sliver of health remaining. Shiver eats the ult from the Caitlyn. The Lux laser gets the kill straight. In fact, Rodark with a fantastic snipe there, but just slivers of health to those two remaining bot laners. But what a huge turn on the gank as Timey now looking for the play up top. Does not find it. Kled able to escape.
Kled able to get out of that one, but just going back into this bottom gank, it was just well executed from Grey Anatomy, being able to hold on.
There's a root and Hecarim once again. Gonna be caught out there looking for Poop My Pants here. The Caitlyn just doesn't have the damage. Looking to find the priority target, but can't. All out of abilities there. Both sides will still end up living, but man, I Poop My Pants playing a very dangerous game.
Yeah, he was definitely clenching in that moment.
But your two around the Gromp fails to flash over the wall. It's gonna be an easy pickup. Going over the Morgana though, Awaken could be in trouble here as well. Throwing the binding, forcing the flash from Awaken. Kled still has the damage, but misses the bear trap. A crucial skill shot. They're looking for the dive here. Ignite comes on down. Awaken dodging out of the hits. But what a great time! The mastery flash, well deserved from Awaken. Shen there picking up the kill on the overextended dive.
I think the kids call it yikes these days.
Oh, Raleigh. Awaken does not have the flash, but Raleigh looking for a way on out with this Kled and that pocket pistol. Awaken go over the wall. Oh, barely misses the Kled. Oh man, it's just on a razor's edge there. Oh,
yeah, and now Awaken, he's got company.
Oh, but the Hecarim gets stunned. Syndra absolutely overputting that. What is?
I think everyone is really questioning what is going on. What in tarnation? Because that roll from your goddess was very good.
We're not going to talk about that. Goodbye, stopwatch.
For tonight, we're 14 and a half minutes into the game. I'm signing out. I'll see you guys next week.
Dude, the worst part about that is that not only did you pop the hourglass cooldown when you meant to hit a ward, you did it on camera too.
This last minute and a half has just been
the raw betrayal by the auto spectate there, sending Morgana straight up the river.
We saw it started with the fail flash from Timey, and then it continued into that invade onto the red buff, and then we see the golden status coming out from your goddess. I mean, the goddesses gotta love gold, right?
Yeah, but here's the gate to the bottom lane. Teleport coming on down. Lux gonna get flat coming on to Chandler. No way out. And what a great play set up in the bottom lane to help equalize some of that goal difference back down within touching distance here. And with a second dragon soon to be on the board for this team. Ooh, the fight coming in for the Kled. Shen wants this damage, but the Conqueror has been popped. Raleigh dropped very, very low. Will get dismounted. Awakened, looking for it. Doesn't have the dash up quite yet. Instead decides to back on off there. That was a absolutely nail-biting 1v1 once again.
And your god is going absolutely Secret Agent, able to get really deep wards, really deep coverage here. And Timey, he is Intro.
Maybe getting found out here. Here's the ultimate from the Shen. The Goomba Stomp coming onto them, but Awaken very, very low. Now on a killing spree though, looking for Grey Anatomy. There's the binding from the Lux. Will still go down. Does end up trading for Grey Anatomy. Chandler is here, popping a Boomerang Blade. No way out of this one. The Vlad has arrived. The buff will be going down over to the Syndra. Binding misses and the fight ends, but once again, Hypnotic Gaming taking advantage in the play.
And another messy scrap going in favor of Hypnotic Gaming. And these are the kinds of fights that you want to continue happening, because you see, you look at their composition, they're very good at the smaller fights when you are able to just tunnel in onto one target, CC them, and then just finish them off, because they've got great single target burns, right? You have the Boomerang Blade from the Sivir, and then you have the existence of Syndra. That's all great. But when it's the 5v5s that the side of the Tortugas really excel at, with the Vladimir Hecarim, they're just not playing to those conditions though.
Well, it's tough to play to those conditions, especially when you don't have control over the map. Your god is going to get obliterated by this damage. Coming in with the ult, but straight into 3 members of the team. Never Saw is here on this Vlad. Timey taking the front, will dodge out of that laser beam, but Raleigh, no way to escape. Chandler gets the kill. Rodark is here on the Lux. Not able to lock in the Vladimir, but this mid lane tower under significant threat with 2 members of Tortuga once again falling in the fight.
And it's the side of Hypnotic, they've just gone with the strat of, all right, we'll just group 5 faster than you, and then we have the advantage right now. We can just use that advantage and outplay you at your own game. And for the side of Tortugas, they have a 5v5 composition, but they haven't been able to put the 5 pieces together at all.
Right, it's always one person going in at a time, and if you're doing a 5v5 deathball composition like that, you cannot do that. Your god is popping. Lasagna's looking for this fight here. Teleport's coming through. Shen will be arriving shortly on the side of the fight. Throwing out that binding. Will not find the target. But Rodar pops him like a grape, coming through with that Lux ultimate into the front line. It's Vladimir going into pool. Ult from the Hecarim, looking to scatter as I put my pants. Will lock down that kill. It's a scattered fight, but still 2-4-1 so far. Looking for another one. It's Scott Sterling, just a sliver of health. We can go through. Never Saw with the sliver. Caitlyn picking up the double kill. Looking for more. It's a stun from the Cinder to dissuade the fight.
And it's just too much for the side of Hypnotic. They overstay their welcome. They got a lot of great picks early on in the fight, but they completely forgot about the fact that there is a Kled that wasn't in that fight at all. And now that he's rejoined, they realize, oh, we gotta abort the mission.
Oh my god, that Caitlyn crit was meaty. I pooped my pants coming online here at the 19-minute mark of this game. That headshot was filthy.
It was filthy. And it's ironic because his name, you know.
His pants.
Yeah.
Oh, that 4-man taunt from the Shen, looking for Never Saw coming on through. Timey is here, looking for that target. Pop-up coming on through, but Awaken gets stumped by the Kled coming on through here. First kill of the game on that top laner, and just like that, Tortuga's back in the driver's seat.
You gotta question that re-engage coming in from Awaken, knowing that there was only the J4 to help him out with that fight.
Hulk J4. Yeah, this is not Warrior Jarvan. The burst damage is not coming through, buddy.
Yes, indeed, and not just that. You know, sure, you have the help of the turret, right? But you look on the other side, there's a Vladimir who de-aggro's turret. There's also a Kled that de-aggro's turret with his own abilities there. There was no way you could lock down a member long enough to actually have the turret finish him off there. And
yeah, that with the insane burst coming through from Tank, J4, and Shen the Sunfire. Right, exactly. I mean, he got the 4-man taunt, so mission accomplished there, but you gotta have the members of your team doing damage if you want to try and turn that, and even then, sometimes it's better to just cut your losses and let the tower go down.
Yeah, but they've just been really stubborn with some of their play, and I mean, some of it has paid off, right? They've
in a big way,
bit,
yeah.
they've stuck with that fight around that Rift Hero. They were able to get some things. Sure, they lost a few things after, but now in the top lane, Neversaw's just a little bit too slippery at this point in the game.
With the Hextech Vladimir still has the pool up, as well as that's just quite a lot of survivability. The health coming on through here. Binding coming up just a little bit short. Worth mentioning, Third Dragon did end up going over to the side of Tortuga. The later this game goes, the more that they with those stats. Looking for a play in the top lane, but the poke from Hypnotic is just whittling down these members.
Yeah, and it's also just beautiful RNG for the side of the Tortugas. You gotta really love how the cookie has crumbled there, hitting 2 Infernos for a Vladimir.
And it's not just the Vlad. Look at all these other champions that are stacking attack damage. I mean, we've got 1,000 degree Hot Knife Hecarim coming on up. I'd bet $1 that stage is going to be a Triforce here soon enough. And really, if ever there were a team to be stacking Infernals on, it's this one.
Yeah, the monster damage that you're going to get, especially from just the duel of Hecarim and Vladimir, is going to be immense. And with the third dragon being the Cloud, that helps them out even more, making sure that they are guaranteed to get into that back line here. And you know, the fourth dragon is also great RNG because now you forced the side of Hypnotic in the position where they have to find these picks like right now. Otherwise, it just slowly slips away from them, and now the collapse.
Channel looking for this play coming on through your Shen does channel that's standing on it. Timey looking for it. Will trap up Raleigh in the Cataclysm, but pulls on back to the Shen. Never saw it going down. Chandler's here holding on in. Looking for Raleigh, looking for that pocket pistol as well, but drop, then will fall. Your goddess next up on the chopping block. It's a 3-0 in favor of Hypnotic Gaming.
And what a play from Hypnotic! You thought it was going to get turned on its head, but then you look at the mini-map, Hecarim and Caitlyn both recall. They were both in base for that entire fight. And it was just such an easy 5v3 capitalization from the side of Hypnotic, and they're going to cash in.
Time for a hero play. Grey Anatomy has that ult. Rodark will fall. They're being pulled around the map. The Baron down to 4,000, but Hecarim goes in a little too early. Will get teleport coming on through, but the health bars are so low. They're forced to retreat. No Baron in hand. The Caitlyn ult coming through to kill the Jarvan. The members of Hypnotic are scattering, and Tortuga find themselves with a breath of life here, stopping this Baron attempt.
Yeah, and it just looks like they're going to hand this over to the side of Tortugas now. They've all recalled. This is a disaster.
Oh no, but at the same time, Timey is still dead. But it will be a no jungler versus no jungler situation. Hecarim coming up back in just a few more seconds. Scott Sterling has been spotted out by the ward. Awaken coming through here, pulling the team off that Baron. Will stop the objective. Scott Sterling keeps the binding and falls. Oh no! Looking for that shiver. Bars dropping lower and lower. The laser beam from the Lux. Looking for the Caitlyn, but flashes out to safety. Root coming through. Rodark eats half his health from a crit, but will be able to walk on out. The Baron stopped by both teams.
And for the side of Tortugas, you don't have to take this Baron. You can continue to look for these fights because you know once that Inferno Dragon does come up, you force the side of Hypnotic into an incredibly difficult position. They have to decide whether or not they give over that third Inferno or they give up the Baron buff, and either decision really just favors the side of the Tortugas. Now that they finally hit that team fight phase, they've hit their item breakpoints, and they've rolled 3 Great Dragons already.
Well, let's see if they can get that fourth here on the board. Not a lot of ward coverage to speak of around this dragon, just a little bit here and there, but it's going to be a big deal. The third Inferno comes through. Vladimir becomes absolutely terrifying. Still waiting on second item completion. Should have that shortly. A fair amount of gold here, but doesn't want to get off the map as this Inferno spawning. again, you have so much damage coming out of this team. You get that Infernal, I mean, that just gets even more severe as far as Hypnotic is concerned. To play, who finds that binding onto the Lux.
Oh,
Hits the
no.
Zhonya's, but there's no way to make this work. I poop my pants. Now dominating after a rough start.
Yeah, and it's, I would say it's not looking good for the side of Hypnotic, and especially after the third dragon, they're just going to rotate over and try and make that Baron play happen now. The side of, look at Timey! Whoa, he's all the way in the bot lane. He's in no position to really contest vision around this Baron area, and I think clear out.
Oh, they're looking for your goddess here. Has that shield, will be forced to flash. Gonna be stopping that play for just a moment. Now, it's worth mentioning here. Gold lead, still 1,000 up for the side of Hypnotic Gaming, but it does not tell the story of what state of advantage these two teams are at. That 3 Infernal Drake is absolutely terrifying. The amount of bonus offensive stats coming through for the side of the Tortugas is staggering.
Yeah,
That's
the
something that
bonus
was going to...
damage. The bonus damage is just bonkers because you're at 24% extra damage. That's definitely more than a couple thousand golds worth of value there, and add that on with the fact that you get a Cloud Dragon for champions that really excel at using extra move speed, and it's just the gold lead, it looks even, but it's really heavily in favor of this blue team.
And the other part of this that's also worth mentioning is it's not simply that you have this extra damage and like, okay, you have the extra damage. This scales. The more items your team gets and the more lead that you accrue as a team, the more this force multiplier comes on through your I Poop My Pants. Looking for the kill onto the Lux, coming on through, you're finding so much damage with the Goomba Stomp from the J4. I Poop My Pants looking to make it work, but can't have it happen. The 3 versus 1 still too strong for that 3 item. Caitlyn in a big pickup onto that 80 carry from Tortuga.
Yeah, but that was almost taking down a raid boss, and wow, look at all those health bars. 3 of them are forced to recall here. At least take time to try and regen as much as they can. And really, that pick doesn't really change much for the side of the Tortuga.
Right.
Because you're going to come back to this Baron buff. Sure, it slows things down for the Sivir to try and get online, but the advantages are still so heavily in favor of the Tortugas. We're kind of just waiting for the real back-breaking play.
So considering the state of equilibrium in this game is in right now, if you're the Tortugas, you've got a Caitlyn. I think the smart play here is to just stack in a lane and shove that up. You have enormous siege potential, and your Caitlyn will have that flash up in just a few more seconds, and there's no need to put so much focus on this Baron right now when you've already got an incredibly potent siege.
Yeah, while I don't encourage the NARAM, the NAARAM. In this case, with how strong this Caitlyn is, you can just do that. You don't need to play the side lanes with the Kled and the Vladimir. That is definitely something you like to do if you can execute it. But at this point in the game, you're already so powerful, you really should just group as 5, make that play for the Baron, and just take the heads-up 5v5 fight.
Well, right, and a big thing too is it's not like they're actually playing around the map. This is a situation where they're all just kind of cloistered around the Baron, trading vision back and forth. That doesn't matter. You have a Caitlyn who's nearly at 4 items on the board and a team that can reasonably protect her. If you set that Caitlyn up in a lane, you're going to win stats, but here's the ultimate coming on through for your goddess. Here's Awaken, does have that taunt, but a way really to find that one, that Caitlyn damage, even tickling the Jarvan with all of his armor there.
Yeah, and I really just think it comes down to a little bit of greed coming out from the side of Tortugas, right? They want the lane farm in the top lane, they want it in the bot lane as well, and by the time they claim that, and they're ready to decide on making that next move. They realize, oh, I've got a couple, I've got 1,500 gold ready to be spent, and I want to spend it. But really, it comes down to, all right, we have this time, we're in a power position, we just have to go.
Mm-hmm. And I, to be fair, there is an Earth Ray coming up. That'll help with the siege. That'll help with the Baron take. But it's one of these things where this is a team that just does not look comfortable in a situation where they reasonably have a lead. Never saw popping that. G4 missing the flag and drag there. That's tragic with a capital T.
Or, I mean, for the side of Tortugas, that's tragic with random capitalization.
Yeah, exactly. Gonna be looking for your goddess here. Pops it onto the J4. Forced to flash out defensively. 5th dragon of the game claimed by the Hecarim. Despite Grey Anatomy not having a super great scoreline, this jungle presence has been crushing in terms of the objective control. Grey Anatomy and the side of Tortuga have just been there really time after time for all of these major neutral objectives.
Yeah, and now that they have that Mountain Dragon, they're looking to try and aggress onto the Baron buff, and once again, they've decided it's time to pull off. But this time, they're having some impact down in the bottom lane, and okay, all right. Scratch those words out. I didn't say it. Cut the tape.
It didn't happen. Redacted. All right, so in the bottom lane, never saw getting aggressed on by Awakened. You're taking so much damage, but still, that Shen gonna be hard pressed against the Vladimir, but does have that taunt. This protracted fight. Look at that slow on down. Shen flashes, gets the shutdown. That's a huge pick onto the Vlad.
And the Vladimir just didn't respect at all the fact that Awakened is going. He has so much base damage that he can just take the fight there, and never saw if he popped the ultimate a lot earlier, he definitely could have taken the fight. And now again we're coming to this time where it's like, all right, we want to do something, and then right when we're about to do it, something happens that we're stopped from doing it.
Oh, and now with this advantage, they're looking for the Baron buff. Stop this with the flash on in from War Goddess. Getting those stuns, popping those hourglasses, gonna be seeing the Morgana fall. Looking for a way out of this one. Baron already down to 6,000. Hecarim, just a sliver of health. Red going on in there, immediately popped off through my pants, is going to get taunted up. What a great play from Awakened. The Hecarim ult coming through. Will get one as Never Saw is here. Does not quite have the ult yet. Will go down. It's the ace coming through for Hypnotic Gaming as they now. No!
Oh, that was the ultimate. It came up in that. Oh my! What is the time of that ult? Okay.
That's all I have to say about this one.
I'm just slowly sinking into my chair.
Congratulations to the 2 members of Hypnotic who got that Baron.
Oh no, what a tragedy. Alright, well, we all saw what happened, but the end result is Hypnotic, they get 2 Baron buffs, and the important thing is, you know, you got the Baron buff on Shen, right? He is your split pusher, so you got something out of it.
The T in Tortugas stands for throwing at Baron. All right, so here we are, 35.5 minutes on the clock. 5 dragons instead of Tortugas, and they are in a big split push situation. So what this is going to come down to is, how do you leverage your control of this map? You have a team that is honestly so much stronger in these 5, in the push at least. But this is not a strength that has been leveraged in the slightest by the Tortugas. And it's something I really hope they can shore up as we get further into this game. And it's worth mentioning, this is the first game of best of 3, but here comes Awaken on this Shen. absolutely obliterating this Kled. Probably gets the rebound, but Chen still gets the tower. And oh my goodness.
Yeah, the Shen is pretty powerful, and you look at his itemization as well.
Oh my god, Guardian Angel Shen.
Yeah. He's got a little bit of damage now on top of that, and whew, Caitlyn able to survive that is a big thing there, and now things are going to be a little bit more difficult because you finally hit this 4-item silver, and
right. That's a lot of pushing power. I'm looking at Neversaw here, coming on through. Neversaw does have that flash available. That's a big snare stun coming through. Neversaw looking for that kill. Can't find it. Flash out defensively for the Syndra coming on through here. Looking for a fight in the top lane. Awakened is just beating the crap out of this Kled. We'll get that snare coming on through here. Needs a couple tower shots, and now Elder Dragon being started by the side of Tortuga, finding a moment for this advantage, looking for the fight. That's the engage. Combo coming through, looking for the backline. It's Hecarim. Can't quite find the kill, but Neversaw able to lock that down. Scott Scarling will fall to the Hecarim, looking for the backline. They find it. Hecarim gets another one. Resurrection coming through from that Shen. Will eat the trap immediately. Gets crushed by Tortuga. It's the full ace for one, and they finally find the fight they're looking for.
they find the Elder Dragon, and now they find the fight. They finally, at 37 minutes, find the team fight they were looking for, and now they have the opportunity to march straight down mid. I was talking about, hey, this Sivir has now hit 4 items and clears waves like none other. This team doesn't have to do anything to really start turning things into its favor, and then they walk into that Elder fight, and that's when things go absolutely terribly wrong. If you're the side of Hypnotic, there was no reason to take the fight. You didn't have enough vision control. Your back timings weren't great. Instead, you can just sit back, let them have it. They can't do anything with it because you have a Sivir. She presses W, the wave's gone. How can they take towers?
That's a great question. That entire fight was predicated on the extremely questionable decision to pull the trigger on a squad that had just acquired a 5-buff Elder. You are doing all of the damage in the world at this point, especially since 3 of them are Infernos. That pops the bonus up to 48% bonus damage. That's
36, 1.5 times.
It's 1.5 times. Okay.
But it's still bonkers.
Only 36%. Right, exactly. And gosh, if they had just been able to wait it out, because again, they do have the wave clear from the Sivir. Totally viable option to say, okay, no, we don't want that. You can have your 2 minutes of map control. We'll just keep you off our inhib towers. But cracking that one in the mid gives this Caitlyn such a good position to split push, and it's going to be a desperate struggle for Hypnotic to stay in this game.
Yeah, but thankfully, the Sivir has now respawned here, and now we just... This is how it's supposed to play out, right? The side of Tortugas, they're desperately trying to find the fight, but then Chandler walks up to the wave, presses W, the wave's all gone, and it's all stopped, right? It really comes down to the next fight is going to be at Baron, because with Baron buff, you're going to have the extra minions to be able to tank up those towers to make sure the Sivir wave clear cannot clear the wave, and then things get really easy. And for the side of Hypnotic, you know, they get a second Baron that helps them cancel out the push from the side of Tortugas, and it really also helps them turn the game around.
Absolutely, and I mean, if Hypnotic is able to get the second Baron or steal it, or realistically wait out this inhib respawn, we might. I mean, again, gold isn't the difference between these two squads. It's all of those dragons that have been stacked up by the Tortugas, but they are so absolutely terrified of making any kind of commitment across the map. Baron now spawning, going to be looking for that. It's plenty of bonus damage coming on through to that objective. Already down to half health. They won't even be able to arrive in time. There's no way to contest this. Tortuga crushes through that objective and find themselves now for the first time in possession of Baron.
And that's just well done from the Tortugas. They have all the wave controls controlled in the mid lane and the bot lane. The mid lane, of course, with the super minions, helps that out considerably. And, you know, you have triple Inferno and one mountain. Like, the dragon RNG, they have to all just buy a lottery ticket because the RNG is absurd.
Have you considered scratch offs? But like, I mean, like look at the situation here right now. It's 41, nearly 42 minutes on the clock. Not a difference in kills. Gold is basically dead even, but that dragon advantage is huge. Clicking, pushing on up here, will not get caught. Bottom tower going down here, looking for a second into the game. Sivir simply not capable of clearing through these Baron empowered minions. Caitlyn's auto attack range easily able to knock down, but never saw going into the tower.
Oh, they're going.
Looking for the dive, never saw. Crushes the Sivir. Chandler already down. Didn't even use the heal. Second inhib falls. Popping that double hourglass, never saw. That's real cheap.
Yeah, and I think at this point in time, things are starting to get a little bit dire here.
Nothing short of a desperate defense coming through from Hypnotic Gaming. Oh my! Holy moly, never saw. That was a ridiculous burst of damage from the Vlad. But that is 4-item to Death Cap Vladimir with a triple Inferno.
The little chuckle there, and you might even say they never saw that one coming.
There was a time. With the next falling, that will be the end of game number 1. A big victory for the Tortugas, coming back from such an early deficit, fighting through for a victory here in the first match of the Risen Esports League Dominate Open. We'll see you all just in a few more minutes for this second game of this best of 3. Don't touch the dial on the twitch.tv channel. We'll be back in a moment. Good evening and welcome back, everyone. We are here for the second game of the Risen Esports League Dominate Open Series. It's going to be the Week 3 match, Hypnotic Gaming versus Tortugas. We are in game number 2. In match number 1, the Tortugas took a huge come-from-behind victory and are looking to propel that momentum into a Game 2 win. But of course, Hypnotic looking to fire back, tie up the series, and bring us to a third and final game. I am Gaspump, joined with fantastic Nightstar. Nightstar, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this pick and ban phase.
Already, there are picks being taken away that we saw from the last game. We see the Shen Morgana taken away by the Tortugas. Don't want to deal with those picks, especially with how powerful Morgana was for them, especially being able to just enable to stuff any sort of pick potential coming out from Hypnotic. They don't want to put that into the hands of Hypnotic. And a very interesting first pick coming out from Hypnotic as they insta-lock Jinx, who did get banned in game number 1.
And potentially for good reason. Hypnotic Gaming's AD carry the Shiver really had a good game last game, and a lot of it came down to some indecision on part of Hypnotic Gaming and some micro mistakes there, as well as some extremely fortunate dragon rolls for the Tortugas. Triple Infernal really helping to close that match out. But on the other side, Ashe and Elise already locked in for the Tortugas.
Ashe and Elise gives Tortugas a lot of pick potential here, and the Elise pick especially means that they really want to take a different page for this early game. Instead of going for the Hecarim, which does scale a little bit, and the early game ganks aren't as great, now you're really all-inning onto that early game with the Elise being locked in.
Oh, but Brand, the choice now for Hypnotic Gaming, along with the Rise. Brand, an explosive support pick. The early game damage is so real, and if able to get some items, get some gold, can transition into a major late game threat. Hit all your buttons in a team fight and then die. It's okay if you're Brand.
Yeah, there's so much damage being drafted by the side of Hypnotic already, and it's a nice draft around the Jinx as well, right? The Brand hits all his buttons, you throw down a bunch of damage,
right,
and you chunk them so much, it just gets that first reset for the Jinx that much easier. And that's when the Jinx and Rise can really start going into town.
Yeah.
But the issue is, against an Orianna, you might run a little bit too far and just get 4-man shockwaves.
And a lot of that, of course, comes down to positioning. I mean, of course, Orianna, ever a team fight terror with the command Shockwave. But again, Hypnotic has tools for this one. In the last game, despite some of the advantages drafted by Tortugas, it came down to an absolute nail-biter for who would actually take that game. That being said, looking into the second part of the ban phase, Silas, Scion, and J4 off the table, with Aatrox being the final ban.
Aatrox, Silas being taken away here are a little bit interesting. We'll see what the side of the Tortugas end up locking in. They are looking for the support pick and the top lane pick, barring any special shenanigans. But the Malphite locked in means that there's so much engage on the side of Tortugas.
In fact, that's really all Malphite brings to a team in terms of utility overall, that unstoppable force, one of the oldest and strongest engage tools in the entire game. But to really leverage the power of that ability, Malphite has to survive through the lane phase, which is something that is not always easy, especially when you are blind picking it.
And Galio being locked in is a pick I was not expecting here for the side of Hypnotics.
So there's absolutely a world where we see Rise flex the top lane and Galio going mid against the Orianna. Galio can survive that lane, and that enables Rise to have a totally uncontested experience against this Malphite in the top lane, which is something that I think Hypnotic may want to do, especially after the difficulties encountered by the top laner on Kled in game number 1.
Yeah, and the side of Hypnotic, they can actually do a number of things here. I'm grinding the creative juices here. In my small pea-sized colorcaster brain here, and wait a second.
Nocturne. So okay, this was mentioned in chat. Somebody called the Elise support, and I think we're going to be seeing that this game. I mean, I don't think it's very good against Brand, but it certainly is a choice.
It's a choice for sure, and against the Brand pick, you do want to pick something that has instant CC to try and just catch him out and kill him instantly, and Elise also brings that extra little burst damage, right? But in the bigger picture, we've got we've got a little bit of a mess of things as far as picks go here. The Tortugas, I would say their mess is a little bit easier to sort out, because even though you do see the Elise come out as the supports, everything else works out just fine, right? You have an Orianna, and you have the tools that you can put your ball onto, right? You have the Malphite, very easy ball target, very easy setup, combined with his ultimate to set up for your shockwave. You can also throw it onto the Nocturne to add a little bit extra threat deeper into the backline. So for Tortugas, the composition ends up playing out whether or not that Elise is a different pick. For the side of Hypnotic, this really is a Jinx composition. You have a Brand who kind of just suicides, throws down a bunch of damage, and then you have Galio Sejuani to be that big meaty frontline for her. And Rise also helps getting that first reset off.
If you're gonna have two carries set up, like a 2-carry setup currently, I really like having something like the Jinx, like this Rise coming through with that machine gun caster, damage really able to output that high uptime, which is something I really see. That being said, though, again, both of these teams kind of bucked expectations in the last match. We expected some very strong early gameplay from the Tortugas. They did not have that. But at the same time, they were able to come back late game and still take the match. So I'm very curious to see how both of these teams are looking to adapt and adjust heading into the second match of the evening.
Yeah, and it does look like it's going to be the Rise top lane. So Galio looking to be the pick into the mid lane, does all right against the Orianna, but the Galio pick has been nerfed quite considerably, I would say, for the mid lane.
Too.
Oh yeah. And really at this point, although, you know, there might be some, you could give reason to put the Brand into the mid lane as well, to just have that ability of try and be a little bit tankier in the bottom lane, not get burst down by the Elise. But it does look like they want to go ahead, throw the Galio into the mid lane, into the Orianna. And really it comes down to Galio is going to be able to wave clear. But it does mean it's a free lane for Orianna.
Well, I don't know about free, because again, Galio does a fair bit of damage, especially in the early game with his bases. And a lot of this comes down to containing the Orianna throughout the early game and not letting her get too far ahead, as well as having that safety against the potential jungler of this Nocturne. So I like Galio there. The big thing here that I'm really looking at is, after the way that last match went, Awakened absolutely styled on Raleigh the entire game. And if I'm going to be real here, with the way that last match went, I love having this Rise in a very favorable match at top, and that could be a big tilting factor in terms of how this matchup plays out.
That is true. The Rise is in, I would say, an even more free lane than the Orianna here. And when I say free lane for the Orianna, I'm not saying that the Orianna just wins lane. No, that's by no means the case. It's just the fact that you're able to just scale up to your breakpoints without really without too much duress, right? You're not going to be under kill threat 24/7.
What is Galio going to do to really stop Orianna from getting through this lane phase the way she wants? It's the same thing in top lane. Malphite does not have a lot of tools to handle this rise, and this is like a good trade-off for both teams. But I think that with the composition set up by the side of Hypnotic Gaming here, maybe that advantage lies with them.
Yeah, Hypnotic are going to be able to get a very good matchup in the top lane, and I think it really comes down to, does this Rise do enough on the map to really take them over the top to that Jinx reset breakpoint? Because otherwise, you're looking at, if Nocturne wants to make a play, he can make a play without really any consequence, because he presses R, that actually stops the Galio hero's entrance from coming in, because you don't have a target that you can ultimate. You have to have vision of the target and of course be in range of the target to actually come in.
Right, and that's a major factor as far as these engages are concerned. But with that being said, we'll be right back in just a few more minutes while we load into this match. Don't touch the dial on the Risen Esports Twitch.tv channel. Good evening and welcome back, everyone. We are here for the second match of this best of three between Hypnotic Gaming and the Tortugas. In game number one, Tortugas came hot off the box to take a big win. Hypnotic Gaming looking to fire back, bring us to game three. I am Gas Pump, joined here by the fantastic Nightstar. Nightstar, let's talk about this 5-minute line of scrimmage, some of the spicy picks coming into the second game.
Well, one of the things I do want to point out to some of our viewers at home is that Rodark is going the Aftershock onto the brand, which is definitely an interesting pick because it helps mitigate some of the kill potential he's going to see in that bot lane against Elise with, of course, the electrocute, but it does mean you have to land that stun to get value out of your free stuff.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen otherwise. But Brandon doesn't have to fight unless he gets that stuff, so he can combo into that Pillar of Flame. That being said, though, I do not like the exhaust on Brand here. I think that is a mistake. You are playing a lane with an 80 carry and a support that wants to kill, and playing scared when you've locked the Brand support is totally counterproductive.
It's a no-no. If you bring the fire as the champion, but you don't bring the fire in the summer spell, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's like imagine drumming up like 600 Chad points from locking Brand and then spending them all by taking exhaust and aftershock along with it. It totally defeats the point of the champion. I mean, you're looking for a very hardcore kill lane that then transitions to a secondary carry threat, and this Brand build does not have that. However, we will see how this lane plays out. I'm very interested in especially looking at this top lane where the Rise is matched into this Malphite.
Yeah, and another interesting thing to keep note of is the fact that this Ashe pick is going with the lethal tempo.
That stun there, but Chandler's taking a lot of damage. Nice repel out of the Pillar of Flame by your goddess there. Tortugas clearly got some momentum heading into this one, especially after the way they won that last game, just suffocating that major dragon advantage. But we'll see how this one continues to play out here. Also worth mentioning, I really do not think that Pillar of Flame on Brand is the right spell to go at level 1. Yes, you get the bonus poke, but you miss out on the stun combo at level 2, and you have a difficult time proccing the bonus damage on your Pillar of Flame. But we'll see how this one continues to go. I would consider myself a bit of a support Brand aficionado, as it were.
Yeah, it does make things a little bit harder to get the stun instantly.
Nocturne Nocturne in the jungle gonna be
Okay.
Bottom lane. What a great combo to get the kill locked down onto that Brand. Rodark stepping forward and getting punished in a big way.
Yeah, and now we'll see if Memories, if he tries to contest, it doesn't look like he is, but
it is a mistake. The Malphite coming on down though. That's there in position already made. Has taken a lot of damage already. Tiny has the trail, but there's no way to capitalize further on this one. And the Tortugas need to be happy with what they've got just in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they are out to a pretty solid start into that bottom lane.
Your goddess the sliver of health, but still had to flash up wisely, deciding not to follow too heavily on that, and at least making our way on out, looking for that buy as well.
Yeah, for sure. Chandler had the opportunity to try and go for that flash play, but actually with the wave where it was positioned, definitely think he could have gone for that. Having another wave coming in was going to take too much damage, but with your guys also having flash, it's just not a guarantee.
Right, and especially playing a little conservative already behind, not a bad idea in the slightest. That being said, though, Brand used both the summoners in that and still went down, really lost out big time on that trade. Scotchstone getting a nice trade on back there. For this play in the jungle, Elisa's Spiderlegs came out just a little bit too late to stop that, taking a taxi on out courtesy of the Grom.
Yeah, and they're trying to force things to happen here in up and around, trying to make some good vision plays, which I definitely agree with. I'm always for vision plays, just because it allows your laners to play that much more aggressive when you have the knowledge, and not necessarily, you don't have to rely on your intuition of, I think he's going to be here, when you can just be like, well, I see him on the map, I know he is here.
Right, exactly. No need to bother with the spidey senses when you just have vision down and can see whatever's going on. That's a major factor in any match, especially one where you're already a little bit behind, looking to come back in, especially being down a game so far in the series. But after that first blood play in the bottom lane, going to be taking a little bit of time, your Goddess going to be having that Ignite backup soon, and I think that's the opportunity where you will see another potentially aggressive attempt starting up here, especially since Ash getting closer and closer to the 6 mark for the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we see the BF sword coming out from the Ash here. Typically, when we see the lethal tempo pickup, we see the on hit, right? And then when we see the Comet come out from the Ash, that's when we see the Essence Reaver Triforce. And I'm interested to see if he goes maybe into an IE build for this Ash, which certainly could work. Ash did get a couple of buffs this patch. Not significant enough to her damage, though.
Right. I mean, I feel like Ash is one of those champions where you're really looking for her to be a utility AD carry. That Enchanted Crystal Arrow is absolutely huge. Being able to pop that and then have that cooldown reduction throughout the rest of the fight makes just the Essence Reaper a very strong purchase. So certainly could be a thing on here. Still a little bit till that level 6 mark comes on through. Your Goddess shoring things up here, trying to make it difficult for the Brain and Chandler's Cheeks to get on through. Your Goddess definitely dodging out of that cocoon now.
Yeah, and I mean, like, going back to this Ash build, I know we're kind of spending a lot of time on it. Okay.
For that, Jinx. A little over aggressive there, Brain taking a lot of damage. Rodark dropped to just a sliver here. But will end up getting the heal. All coming through. Chandler turning it. Big mistake from your Goddess on the Elise there. The made except the dragon and aggression going on through. Wow, what a cleanse from the Orianna. That's a flash coming on through. Mistakes to play. Never saw. Dropping lower and lower. Flash coming up, but it's a Justice Punch for Scott Sterling that takes the kill. On the top lane, Raleigh taking a ton of damage. The Malphite clap is online. Rise drops just a sliver of mana there. Forced to head on back, and going to be Hypnotic taking early game advantages for the second time in a row, but they will need to keep this up. They don't want to fall into the same trap as the last match.
Never saw, he made that great play. Dodging out, getting the insta Captain Jack cleanse.
Right.
But then it really got to him. He was like, all right, I made such a big outplay. They burned a lot of spells on that. I can try and turn things around because I have my jungler there. But memories be made, he didn't really want that fight. You saw him kind of hovering there rather than pulling the trigger to go for the fight. And it ended up just costing Never Saw his life there.
Yep, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that it was one of those things where you kind of expected Never Saw to just, rather than trying to pull the trigger on the fight, and there was what looked like a bit of a communications breakdown. And all said and done, though, very well played from Scott Sterling, and timing, looking for this ultimate rise, trying to dissuade the take of that pink ward, looking for the root, getting some good damage on through here. Awaken, chasing that Malphite. Timing is there, does not quite have the ult available, but the longer this game goes, the less and less that Raleigh is going to be able to do about this rise, the wave clear, the damage. I mean, you see a Malphite building 2 MR items. That is a sad place to be. You're wrong.
And not just that, he built 2 MR. The
double stun target. They're coming on through here. What a great job dodging out of that one. But your goddess eats the exhaust, does not commit. Coming up shortly, looking for the flash, going in on the Chandler, but that's the ult coming on through, finding the damage. Never saw eats that CC in the mid lane as well, but that's the ult pulling Scott Sterling under the tower. The smite will be enough, but here comes the Nocturne, looking for the right target, flashes in there, will be able to knock down Scott Sterling. Looking for Timey now. Those auto attacks are raining hell onto Timey. That Nocturne damage is huge, eating the tower shot, looking for the stun, looking for the slow. Timey goes down, but will trade his life. It's a 2-for-2 in the mid lane.
But what a trade for the side of Tortugas right there. Trading 2-for-2 in the mid lane, definitely a big win, especially when you get both of those kills onto the Nocturne at such a big boon there. Now Raleigh, he really wants to try and keep fighting this thing out here, but even with the double MR itemization, you just can't bully out this Rise.
The only way that Raleigh is able to take control of this lane is if he builds a Wit's End, which is not really something you want to purchase with a Malphite. But this is a high gold plat game.
You could clap faster, technically.
Exactly. It's the world's fastest clapper. It's a Malphite. Okay. So, with that being said, we are here. 12 minutes on the clock. Both teams going to be looking for stuff. Can't quite find the stun onto the elites. But he's kind of holding steady. Some great aggression here in this early game. He made nice spell shield coming on through to stop that stun. So gang is stuffed once again. 700 gold separating these two teams. And one Infernal Dragon has been chalked up for the Tortugas. Already looking to make a replay of that last match as map control.
Yeah, you know, I'm looking at memories be made. His name. Oh, okay.
Still coming through. Your goddess is here on the Elise. That stuff will find it. The Galleon numbers being made. Ooh, a great stop, but your goddess there. Scott Sterling does not have the flash. Get the stun onto the Elise. Rocket goes wide, but your goddess picking up the kill to play in the mid lane.
The great pick coming out from Tortuga there. It really just came down to Tiny being a little bit too far out there.
Stun coming through, but no extra follow-up. A little bonus damage there. Dragon on the board, just a few more seconds, and Raleigh forced into this tower in a major way. Oh, that damage, but wow, awakened with the play and the mastery flash. Great solo kill from that Hypnotic gaming top laner.
And he just absolutely bopped that Malphite, and there's really no response that Raleigh could really have there. And now,
not turn into the bottom lane, looking for that spell shield, finds the stun from the brand, and onto those targets. Memories being made, will end up falling. It's a 1-for-1. The support gets the kill in exchange for the 80 carry picking up another.
And that's, again, it's a nice trade happening because they're able to gain that extra tempo. They're able to have the 80 carry sit in this bottom lane, and now they're also able to rotate your goddess over to the mid lane. They don't get anything out of that mid lane roam, but it's still that possibility of having that kill come through in the mid lane that forces Scott Sterling to have to respect it. And now
he's here looking for the Elise, looking to get this stun on down here. We'll get that traded on back. Here comes that the repel over from the Elise. If you're looking for this your goddess, no way out of this one. Will burn down to the red buff. Timey picking up his third of the game on the Sejuani.
And the Sejuani starting to look a little bit dangerous here, and I wanted to touch on it earlier on in the game, but now that we do see the commitment come from the Ashe, I want to come back to it. The Ashe has gone for the Essence Reaper, and I do like it in compositions where the other side, you can pick them off very easily. But if you look at this composition from the side of Hypnotic, they're actually a very durable composition with the fact that they have the Galio and the Sejuani. And in that regard, I would have liked to see the on-hit come out because it just allows you to eat through that top lane.
Turn is here. Rise going to be giving his life for this first tower of the game. Not a terrible trade, but at the same time, you're gotta get that stun on through. The Galio will interrupt that, going for this taunt. There's Repel coming through from the Elise, but the Proto Belt and the speed will buy him a way out. Chandler and Rodark are here. Sejuani arrived as well. Your goddess does not have the Repel. For that stun coming on through, a great slow here will force the flash. Pops the rocket, looking for Neversaw now under this tower. Forces that flash as well. Going for broke. Range from Chandler is vicious. Ash forced to pop that blasting cone to get out to safety there. And 2 kills on the chase down. Scott Sterling gets out scot-free. And I mean, man, things are just looking up in a big way for Hypnotic Gaming in this second match.
And for Hypnotic Gaming, they also have very easy to execute composition, right? You have a very standard front to back, and you know where your win conditions are. You don't have to play around with trying to manage waves, trying to find picks in difficult siege scenarios, like in game number 1, where they had more of a split push composition that they needed to really fully take advantage of. And I mean, we saw how that one went, where things fell away pretty quickly. But in this game, they have a lead, and it's really easy for them to push that lead with how tanky the Sejuani is, and with the fact that Jinx is even in this lane.
Yeah, and I mean, a big thing too, Jinx does have a set of advantages, but Jinx is also a way stronger hyper carry than Ashe. I mean, Ashe really does need to have an entire front line protecting her to do damage, but Jinx's ability to kind of zoom around these fights, we're looking for that. Here it comes, Jinx caught out in a big way, memories being made, obliterating that AD carry, and a great setup on the play from the Tortugas pays off in a big way.
Yep, they're going to be able to also pop down the Rift Herald. They're going to be able to secure this bot tower here. Maybe they decide to push for 2. That'll be the real question. It does look like they're backing off very quickly, as the side of Hypnotic, well, they've pulled down 3 members into the spot lane, and their last member Awakened, he's sitting around in the mid lane. So they can definitely respond if they went that route.
Sejuani ult swing and a missed it. The play, Galio coming through here, memories being made for this ride. Will get stopped. What a great pickup, memories being made, blocking in his 6th on the game. And with that kill onto the rise, Awakened, who had such a strong early game, is taken down a 2nd time. So be careful with that rise position, but here's a stun coming through onto Time. He drops a 1/3 of his health. They do manage to clear out the wave and stop the push in the mid lane.
And just a great pick onto the Rise, right? The Rise has been, I would say, the real pain for this team so far in this game. They've just not been able to deal with it up in the top side, and he's been able to accelerate quite well into the game, having a 24 CS lead. And for Tortugas, they just pull the trigger, chase them down, run them down, and that's what you do like from this composition with this Essence Reaver, is that you're able to continuously take the fights.
Right, it's just a matter of finding the right one. Gold is dead, even 1-to-1 Dragon. This game is absolutely neck and neck. I'm curious to see how both these teams are going to be looking to leverage this mid-game. Baron almost spawned, about 45 more seconds till that one comes up. We do have some champions that are very capable of burning that one down. You get a lot of damage with the Rise and the Jinx, as well as that percentage of max health damage, so effective for taking those neutral objectives. Brand's Kid.
Yeah, and this again comes back to actually benefit the side of Hypnotic here, because they do have a lot more Baron damage than the side of the Tortugas. They want to be looking for fights. They have the Nocturne, they have the Malphite, they have the Ashe, they have the Orianna. All these champions are looking for the actual fight, not necessarily the objectives.
Oh yeah, and Jinx, again, very good at taking neutral objectives that we'll have to look out for. Memories being made on the Nocturne and Raleigh on the Malphite. You can't underestimate the unstoppable force. That being said, the Raleigh has absolutely no armor against the composition with the Jinx here in the top lane, forcing the Flash out of the Rise Major Summoner in exchange for that Nocturne's Paranoia.
And that's an important summoner to take away here. As now Awaken, he's going to be heavily reliant on his own footwork to get out of difficult scenarios. And
Raleigh is
caught shopping.
Yeah, caught shopping here. Dropped very low, looking for that way to escape. Rise coming on through here. Man, imagine if he had a flash available.
Yeah, that's definitely Raleigh was asleep at the wheel for that one, and that's going to cost their team quite a bit as they want to try and make some sort of force play either around the mid lane or around the dragon. They don't have the Malphite ultimate.
Raise being made here, touching on out, but here's the two-man siege from the Galio. Oh, but in the backline, Rodark already knocked down. Remember, he made healing. God, front line. These priority targets for Jinx, layering that damage on through, but Ash gets too far, too deep. Will go down. Your Goddess falls as well, looking for Awaken now. Damage on that Rise, but it ends up being a 3-0. Hypnotic Gaming taking everything they want.
And immediately, the ultimate used from the Malphite earlier on comes back to bite them right away because they go ahead and take the fight, the side of Hypnotic, knowing that, hey, even if the side of Tortugas, they want to take the fight, they're missing a huge team fight ultimate. And you saw there, the Shockwave doesn't have enough oomph quite yet to really solo win you fights. And things went long enough that they were able to just turn things around.
And a big part of that too, and you have to talk about it. I pooped my pants, did just as his name suggested in that fight, and kind of crapped the bed on that one. Because if you look at the way that fight was positioned, Ash walked in to a zone without wards at the front of the team and got absolutely obliterated for it. If the Ash had been able to stay in the back line, hammer in those auto attacks, I think that fight could have been very different.
That is true. You put the Ash in a good position to put out damage, and she'll still do respectable damage. However, at this point in the game, the crit damage coming out from Ash is just not as impactful as the crit damage coming out from a Jinx, right? And,
yeah.
We saw that in display towards the end there, and the fact that Awakened, his teleport was a million times more impactful than Raleigh's teleport in that scenario.
And a lot of that comes down to it's a Malphite without an ultimate. What is he gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh God, he's just standing there menacingly. Yeah. Until that.
It's a rock.
Yeah. It's not a boulder. It's a rock. Anyway, so Jinx can get flipped back in, and Chandler annihilated, looking for this play in the mid lane. Rise needs to build, still get that, but man, Memories Be Made was on top of that. The Ash ult misses by just an inch. 2 more kills picked up though, and Tortugas firing back now with pressure in the mid lane.
And this is what the Tortugas need to do. They have to just continue trying to look for fights around their very short engage.
Oh, that was almost so good, but still gonna be enough there to block that in. Sejuani, the beneficiary of that kill, is 6-1. So incredibly tanky.
Yeah, and you know, these kills are just continuously coming through for Sejuani, and you know, sure, it's great that you're getting that big front line, and Timey
is looking for it, doesn't have the ult, can't quite find the engagement. Here comes the Galio, never saw it, gets the bounce castle treatment, but trades back for Timey. Ash definitely dodging the way out of that zap there and will make it to safety. I would actually call that 100% worth. You're trading the 1-3 Orianna for the 6-1 Fatty shutdown Sejuani. So that also goes straight to the Ash for a 600 gold bounty. That's good money for Tortuga.
Yeah, that was definitely worth for the side of Tortugas because they were able to cash in on such a large bounty on such a big member of their composition. They are going to need this Ashe to do a lot of consistent damage.
Yeah, and I mean, Ashe closing in on that third item, just absolutely vital for the Tortugas composition in their late game plans. Speaking of late game plans, this Rise has still not come to fruition. Had a great early game against the Malphite. Isn't doing much here. In the bottom lane, looking for the play, going to be nearsighted.
Oh,
Rise going on through. Well, okay, by the way, Seraph's 2-item Rise is going to absolutely crush the engage from. Never saw. Hello, Awaken looking for this ult goes wide there. Awaken could still be in trouble.
1v2.
Be real careful. This is the one. Look at that damage. Stepping out of the way though. Never saw. Ends up getting the kill. But Baron is started at the same time. Malphite does have the ultimate. Be looking to go on in. Stun the lands. Galio looking to make the play here. Pull off that Malphite. Nobody is there. Sejuani able to lock that in. Raleigh will fall as well, and it's Hypnotic picking up the Baron as your goddess falls to Chandler's rocket.
And the side of Hypnotic, they trade one in the bot side, but look at what it cost them. They had to, well, they lost a Nocturne, and they had to invest a very fed AD carry on their roster, and they also had to invest their mid laner. So they invested 3 members, one of them died, the other one was pretty much the rest of their damage besides their jungler, and that just made it a very free Baron.
Yeah, the real mistake there was memories being made, going in for that play against the Rise and getting melted. It's easy to not respect the Rise's damage when you've been having such a rough early game overall, but now with those 2 items and now with Seekers on the board, champions come online, should be a third Cloud Drake coming through the side of Hypnotic Gaming there, and I mean, that extra map mobility, not something to sneeze at, especially when you're looking to run the split here with the Rise in one of those side lanes.
Yeah, and now things become incredibly simple for the side of Hypnotic because they just need to group force. You know, let the Rise do his thing, and then you have an incredibly beefy Sejuani, as you can see here, and you have a Jinx that annihilates turrets.
Exactly, and this is just a classic closeout situation here as far as getting that pressure on the board from the squad. Malphite forced to ult defensively. Tortuga scattering here, gold lead. Still about 4,000 between these 2 teams. So that pushed out on the top lane.
Yeah, Awaken actually expended that teleport to come into this top lane here. Slightly questionable. I know he wants to join up with his team, but he has triple Cloud Drake. Like, you're already strutting pretty quickly up into that top side.
Now, to be fair, one of the things I like to mention is he does not have the Baron buff. He's going to the back line there, popping the ult, getting that stun on down. Malphite is caught out, will fall. Kill picked up, still looking for the push in the top lane. Probably did not have the ultimate, so it's not a major loss for the team. Forced to flash on out of that one, popping that Brandle. Will get the bounce on back and forth. The inhibitor tower falls. Looking for even more here. I poop my pants in the back line. Does not have that ECA.
Here we go.
The Nocturne. Here comes the heal. Playing up to totally stuff that one. What a huge play coming on through here. Chandler will fall. I poop my pants with the but will fall to the Galio's Winds of War. The inhib stands, if only for now.
That was almost a 1v5 scenario for the Ashe right there. At that point, you get the first 2 kills, you make a little bit of fancy sidestep moves, you're able to find the kill onto the Rise very easily, and it was possible. It was definitely possible. But at this point in the game, you know, you're looking at the side of Hypnotic. It just feels like this game is too far gone, and there's not many ways I'm not gonna say there's no way, but there's not many ways
It'll be tough, yeah.
for the side of Hypnotic to give this one back over Tortuga.
Well, again, Baron is finally worn off. They did not end up getting the inhibitor itself, so that's something. That's a small grace. It'll keep the pushing from being quite as suffocating in the top lane, especially playing on the bottom side of the map. But again, Tortuga have not been winning the fights in this game, and they need to come out with a W here real soon, or this game is going to slip out of their hands.
Yeah, with the Mountain Dragon is going to be the next one to come up here. Neither team. It's a nice dragon here, but I don't think either team are starving to really get that. Because it doesn't really change the game state either way. And it looks like they're just gonna
need to pull the trigger. Malphite going in for that ultimate. You're gonna turn away from the knocker into the backline. Find that birdie target, but will bring Chandler down. Does manage to get it. Here comes the Galio. Bounce cast looking for Papa. Can't get the backline. Ash gets the kill. I pooped my pants, kiting this one out, looking for Awaken now on that rise. There's the slow. Your goddess forcing the hourglass. This'll be the kill. And 4 for nothing, a triple kill for I poop my pants. And it's the Tortugas taking everything they want, getting the heart stop after the in-hit.
And you know, for the side of Tortugas, they probably looked at that fight and said, alright, it's time to throw our ADC and see if anything sticks.
Yep.
And stuck to the wall. They definitely stuck to the wall there, and he cashed down to 4 kills. they lose an inhib as I'm just dying over here on the side. But they lose an inhib, but they get 4 kills. They get all this extra waves of experience and gold, and that's such a gold swing. What should have been an easy closeout by letting the game happen naturally instead of forcing the inhib for the side of Hypnotic, they've essentially just put themselves into a 50-50 situation again.
Speaking of 50-50, Hypnotic's putting themselves into another one here with this Baron memory being made. The ultimate available quite ill. Can go into the pit, drop down to 1600, looking for the steal. That is going to be the steal for the Orianna. They grab that. They're looking for the play. Tortugas still wants to make this happen. Taimi in trouble. Team member is already down, looking for a third. Taimi will drop. There's the Baron away from the knocker, going into the backline, looking for the rise now. It's going to be a total rout here coming on through. Scott Sterling, remember level 5, poop my pants on that chase coming on through. Scott Sterling looking for the taunt, will find it. There's the Justice Punch out, but here comes this move speed from the Orianna, burning down, and that's the Leandri's Torment for the ace. Tortugas complete the turnaround.
And just like a Tortuga, they went slow and steady, and finally they've turned it on here at the 32-minute mark.
History repeats itself once again. Hypnotic Gaming smash the early game, pick up every objective, every advantage, but it's still Tortuga finding the fights with the X Factor to come back into this match.
They get the Mountain Dragon on top of it, and I mean, the Mountain Dragon doesn't matter too much at this point, but it's still a nice little win there. And
okay, so we talked about completing the comeback, but there's still a long road for Tortuga here. They have an advantage, they have momentum. What they don't have is an open inhibitor, and this will be a major point of contestation and something that Earth Dragon will certainly help to close on out. Because despite the advantages accrued, they're still missing their top inhibitor. Their Baron does not have that much time left on it before that expires as well. And once that's off the table, you're back to a stalemate. Yes, Tortugas have an advantage, but will they be able to keep it and broker it into a win? Or will we once again see Hypnotic Gaming making a big play across the map? Probably under potential right here in the top lane, but time used no assistance. Forced to back off.
yeah, and for the side of Tortugas, you're at the break point now, however, that you're at full build Ash, and you're almost at full build Orianna. These two champions now do a bunch of damage, and never saw. At this point in the game, like we saw his first couple of shockwaves.
He was 1-4 not too long ago. Not 6-4-14 with a 700 gold bounty and nearly 4 items on board.
Yeah, the difference in shockwave damage, like from 20 minutes ago, is insane. So now Neversoft, he deletes an entire team by himself.
Right, and I mean, you're also looking at a situation where these priority members of the Tortugas almost have their major defensive cooldowns back up. I Poop My Pants is just a few seconds away from having the flash available, 3 more seconds until that cooldown's up, and having that available to get out of the fight, put the pressure down, especially Ash Arrow going to be used there, but if a mistake, not going to be ending up landing. So they're about 40 seconds before I Poop My Pants really has that utility available to start and really make a fight happen. But as you said, we've hit equilibrium. Baron buff is more or less totally timed out, and without claiming an inhib, this game is more or less gone back to even despite some gold differences.
That is the case. And, oh, that's okay. Another ultimate going to be used by Raleigh to get on out of there.
Imagine being Malphite and actually ulting the enemy team.
He's had a couple of moments where he's got to use his ultimate.
He's actually used 2 of them on another player, like this entire 37-minute game.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. I'm pretty sure it's between 2 and 3.
Mr. Brightside on that one is going to be the cooldown on that Malphite ultimate is like 40 seconds. Level 18 has a fair bit of CDR. Not long till it's back up, and it's basically, was there a fight right after that ult got used? If no, it's back off cooldown. So Raleigh will have that for her engagement. Everybody except for your goddess has a flash on the side of Tortugas. Though that being said, all those major cooldowns are available on the side of Hypnotic Gaming as well. So again, Baron is still a few minutes from spawning, still a ways off what I believe will be the first Elder Dragon of the game, and it's going to come down to another 40 to 45 minute nail biter. These teams have me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, the last game had me slumping down towards the end, but now I'm definitely in the proper position to watch any tense moment happen here. We are very upright, and the next fight could happen or should happen around this Elder Dragon here. And just talking about which teams get the most out of it, it again has to come down to Tortugas because you get that extra burn damage on the Ashe and on the Orianna. The Orianna is an absolute stuffer against this composition right now. You have to find some sort of creative flank coming in from the Sejuani to be able to lock down key targets. Otherwise, you're walking through these choke points.
Ooh, there's Zeal coming on through looking for that rise. As he said, it manages to get out. Will dodge the arrow as well. Holy mother of dancing shoes. Awaken burns a number of features. Here's the fight coming through. They're looking for it. Galio comes up. Let's get one popped up. They're looking for this time in the front line. Looking to disrupt that line. But I Poop My Pants burning that tank down. There's a stun coming through. Forcing the flash by the rise. Here's Memories Made. Gonna get his Guardian Angel almost pop. But look at that damage for I Poop My Pants. Picking up the second one, looking for more. Dark is able to get the stun. There's the Malmortius popping. Raleigh in the front line goes down to Awaken. The rise is just a sliver of health. They're looking for this. Charging up. That taunt will get killed. Goes on down. Your goddess will lock that in. I Poop My Pants taking aggro from the dragon. But the healing is enough, courtesy of the Malmortius. They're looking for this objective. It's only Brand left alive to stop this. But he's totally out of mana as your goddess comes on through, cleaning up the ace, and the dragon falls. Tortuga winning the fight.
And Tortuga's clutching that out with I mean, I guess you could also say they clenched that one out because the Ash came very close to falling numerous times, especially at the end of it.
Ash was down to about 100 hit points at one part of that fight, but I pooped my pants, had the skills come back in, close that one out, and now they are armed with a double combination of those top level buffs. Whoa, that rocket! Oh my god, Jinx was about a half a second off getting a triple kill there. But not able to lock that in. But now, with the infernal, now with the empowered Elder Dragon, now with the Baron buff, Tortuga in major position to complete this series with a 2-0 record.
And they're in great position to finish things out, especially with that Baron buff. And I mean, the wave clear on the side of Hypnotic, it was heavily reliant on the Rise before, and now with the Baron buff, it just makes it that much harder for the Rise to clear things out.
Mm-hmm. And we're seeing in this game the difficulties of both of these supports to have really outstanding impact here. A lot of this comes down to the fact that your goddess doesn't need to hit 2 abilities to get the stun. You just gotta land the cocoon. And Rodark has been very close to wild success a number of times, but has had that second part of the Q flashed out of, and it's just time after time, Tortuga eking out the smallest of advantages to these fights and broker themselves major advantages across the map. Now that Baron buff in the bottom lane, Baron buff in the mid lane, this is going to be a desperate defense for Hypnotic Gaming.
Yeah, and with memories being made in this bottom lane, just shoving that wave in, with the Baron power minions, it's really easy for them to deal with the Rise.
Your goddess dropped down to just a sliver of health. Jinx has the ultimate, so she's holding onto that one in case a fight breaks out. Push is called off by memories being made in the bot lane. Does not have that Baron buff. Blue Rise looking for this dead damage is absolutely enormous. Like that will get the pick off. Big mistake from the Nocturne. Now looking for the engage. Tortuga sent scattering after the attempt. Oh, the ult goes just a little bit wide. Here comes the Rise. Bringing the reinforcements. It's a flip coming on through. Ash desperately trying to ward off the Galio in the backline. Never saw pops the clips. Will go down. Scott Sterling falls. I put my hand on the sideline. Still raining those arrows across. Looking for the kite out. Timey looking for the interruption. Will end up falling. Damage from my put my bed. There's enormous awakening looking for it. Dropped very, very low. The Jinx resurrecting looking for this. Does have the damage. It's a triple kill for the Ash. Target scattering. It's a quadra kill. Looking for more than support. And 80 carry duo now charging down the mid lane to take the inhibitor. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and Awaken can't recall because Goddess is right here. Doesn't have the stun.
Nobody gets the stun and the stop. Here comes the kill. It's on Pooh My Bench, running it down the mid lane. A huge stop by your goddess. Death timer still ticking for 15 seconds. I poop my pants, hammering those arrows down one after another onto those Nexus towers. Still 5 seconds to the Galio. There's no way they can stop him. And the T in Tortuga stands for 2-0 with their victory over Hypnotic Gaming tonight.
And what an effort. What a solo carry that was from... Oh my God. All right, that last fight was absolutely maddening. They were again so very close to killing that Ash, and then it just never happened.
I Poop My Pants is a high octane turbo Chad. The kiting in that fight was immaculate. I am just absolutely flabbergasted by the performance of Tortuga's 80 carry in that second game. 15-2 and 5,000 gold in the bank, more than the next highest player in the entire game. What an outstanding performance.
Yeah, and you could definitely say that he was not constipated that game at all because he was outputting so much damage.
That is quite the metaphor you've crafted.
It's a rough metaphor, but that was a lot of damage.
That was just an outstanding performance. And Tortugas back-to-back comebacks, making the dream happen in both games. And just a fantastic performance overall. And Hypnotic Gaming, so close, yet so far in both games. A fantastic performance from both teams and an absolutely exhilarating series in the Risen Esports Dominate Open's third week. I'd like to shout out a huge congratulations to the side of the Tortugas for their win here. And, great performance overall and some absolutely fantastic games.
Yeah, that's going to be their second win of the season. And I mean, for the side of Hypnotic, we saw a lot of good stuff still, right? We saw the early game stuff, and things just weren't able to connect all the way through. And however, that's something that they should be able to work on and build upon because it's a lot easier to build upon leads than it is to be like, all right, we have to consistently come back from behind. But if you're already working with a positive,
right,
you can work with that.
Exactly. Well, you just can't plan for being 4,000 gold down. And Tortugas, again, I felt like the consistent theme across the series was that Hypnotic Gaming had stronger macro, but the Tortugas just had that clutch X factor in the fights. They knew how and where to pull the trigger, and the coordination from the squad was there. What a blast to watch and cast these games. And I'd like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who came out and watched tonight. I am Gaspump, joined by my fantastic co-caster, Nightstar. We'll see you all again here soon on the Risen Esports League Twitch.tv channel. Have a wonderful evening.